Gerd Müller is the most important German footballer, no other.
I think he is the greatest striker the world has ever seen.
He was simply the best.
When I got the ball, I smashed it in.
It was 1945 when the great Gerd Müller was born in a small town in Bavaria, Germany. It was, however, a troubled time. The country was in ruins after the Second World War.
It was like everywhere in Germany in 1945. Nordlingen had also been partly bombed. It was in a state of emergency, like everywhere.
But things gradually improved for the war-torn nation, and football was a source of hope for many. There was the miracle of Bayern in the 1954 World Cup, which particularly inspired the 8-year-old Gerd Müller. Coming back from 2 goals down in the final to beat Hungary 3-2 was an amazing achievement, and Fritz Walter's side managed to bring hope back to a beleaguered nation. It seemed that however bad things got, there was always football.
Ich weiß nur, dass wir von der Schule rausgegangen sind.
I just remember that we always played football straight after school because we didn't have anything in Nordlingen. My parents were poor, but my brother had a good job, and he was the one who bought me my first pair of football boots.
Der hat mir dann die Fußballschuhe gekauft.
At 9 years old, he was in the school team and then integrated into the youth team at TSV Nordlingen. One of my friends knew already in 1964 that Müller would become a big name in football. He already put his boots and shirt aside, in the knowledge that he would become a big star one day.
Ebenfalls ein Freund hatte die parat.
As a young man, Müller chose to be an apprentice welder because the factory was near his training ground. Football, though, was the main focus for his career, and the big clubs started to take an interest in him. But sadly for Gerd, the club he'd supported as a child, Nuremberg, never made an approach.
If they had approached me, I would have gone there like a shot. I'd have done anything. I would have cycled all the way there because people in Nordlingen only used to support Nuremberg.
We used to go to lots of the games they were playing in '63 in the Bundesliga. And his wish was always to play in Nuremberg. But then, in '64, he went to Bayern.
In his first season, Müller helped Bayern gain promotion to the Bundesliga. But not everything went so well. The coach at the time was Chick Kajowski, who was highly critical of Müller's stocky physique.
When he arrived, he was small and weighed a lot more kilos than today. Today he is slim. I gave him the nickname Short Fat Müller.
Short Fat Müller, he said. What do I want with this guy? What do I want with this short weightlifter? He wasn't convinced.
But the Bayern coach gradually began to see Müller's potential.
Thank God that for 4 weeks we were in a training camp in a sports school. We had friendly matches and preparation matches with town teams. I didn't used to start, and then the coach thought perhaps I should give him a chance earlier. And I noticed he had more trust in me. And then he let me play some full games. And then, for the friendly games, I always played.
Once Müller began scoring, the old nickname gave way to a new one, Der Bomber.
In Germany, people say you bomb into the goal. If you hit it hard, it's like a bomb.
Der Bommer's ferocious finishing in front of goal was getting him a fearful reputation around the world. After winning the '69 Bundesliga with Bayern, Muller was off to Mexico and the World Cup finals in 1970 with West Germany.
The others always say that the greatest World Cup was '74, but for me, the best one was in Mexico. Everything went so well there. Nobody bothered us, and it was great. Schön couldn't make his mind up who to play, and everything was undecided at this point. Before the second game, Schön took a crucifix into his room and prayed. We were wondering, would he ever come out? He sat like that, praying, to ask who he should put in the tein. And he decided on a formation that was crazy.
I was perhaps too old back then. I was 35 years old. Helmut Schön was attacked in the press for even taking me. But he had a good idea, and we worked really well together. I set up a lot of chances for Gerd Müller.
Uwe Seeler never stopped running. He always had a red head, but his head seemed to become bigger and redder in those days. For his age, he was running like a madman.
All of Helmut Schön's prayers were answered as Muller scored 7 times in 3 group matches, including consecutive hat-tricks against Peru and Bulgaria, taking the Germans through to face old rivals England in the quarter-finals.
We wanted to win. This time, we wanted to win. Everyone was talking about revenge, but as a player, you don't think about this, you just think about winning.
However, things didn't start well for the Germans.
And when we were 2-0 down, because of stupid mistakes in the defence, we thought to ourselves, this is going to get tougher. That gave us a lot of strength as a team, because we said, this has become easier, we can do this. And then we were back in it, fourth with goals. And because both teams would have done anything to win, that made it so exciting.
Scored an equaliser, taking a lap of honour and bringing the game into extra time. On. Fence. Back in Munich, Der Bommer's ruthlessness in front of goal for Bayern was gaining legendary status.
There's never been anyone like Gerd Müller. He scored goals, which is the most important thing in football. He scored so many goals that no one will ever catch him.
In the season of 1971-72, Gerd Müller scored 40 league goals, a Bundesliga record which has never been equalled. It seemed Bayern Munich and Gerd Müller's success were growing hand in hand, and goals from Der Bommer fired them to the title for 3 consecutive seasons in 1972, 73 and 74. Internationally, it had gone well too. Müller was a vital part of the 1972 European Championship side, which had reached the final against Russia.
We didn't fear the Russians. We beat them in a friendly pretty easily too.
once again in Brussels. Gerd Müller picked up his first major international trophy.
Back then, the West German team was so good. The Russians were not on the same level as us. That game could have ended 5, 6, 7 or even 8-0.
The World Cup of 1974 would be held in West Germany, and this was the only major trophy to have eluded Gerd Müller so far. They made it through 2 group stages, where only Poland stood between them and the final. Almost inevitably, Der Bomber popped up to score the crucial only goal. For Gerd Müller, this day would prove to be one of the most important in his life. 75,000 fans crowded into his home ground, Bayern Munich's Olympic Stadion. Nerves in the West German camp were running high as they knew they were facing the stars of the tournament so far. The thought of Johan Cruyff and Holland's total football made the Germans visibly tense. The start did nothing to calm the nerves. Cruyff was brought down in the box. Johan Neeskens stepped up and the Dutch were in front. The West Germans hadn't touched the ball. The frustration was evident. They battled on though and earned a penalty of their own.
I wanted to be the world champion. We wanted to be the world champions. I wanted to win a World Cup. I didn't go there just to play. If it was just about taking part, then I couldn't care less.
Actually, we thought Gerd Müller was going to take the penalty. But then Paul took the ball and knocked it in. So we were all happy.
Breitner had brought West Germany back into the game, and it was now the Dutch who were on the back foot. The momentum was now with West Germany. The Dutch defence couldn't cope with Müller's movement, and he took his chance.
As I came forward, 3 defenders came with me. I stepped back, and they were out of position. So I fired it into the corner, and that was it.
2-1. Müller's goal had won the World Cup for West Germany.
The World Cup is the biggest thing you can win. Winning the European Championships is one thing, but the World Cup is something else.
But lifting the World Cup was to be Müller's last action in a West German shirt.
Due to problems at the Federation, Gerd Müller announced his retirement in a very emotional manner straight after that final. If there had been some sensible people at the Federation, then Müller would have played on. It was a huge loss for the team.
At Bayern Munich, though, Müller's career was still going strong.
FC Bayern is my first and second home.
In one of the most memorable games in the history of the
day after the first match, at training, no one could walk. We were completely exhausted. It's a wonder how we could play again the next day. It was the end of the season, and we were already German champions. We were all so tired, and then we found the strength to pull ourselves together and win 4-0 in the second game, in what was one of the best games of the season, and possibly one of the best in Bayern's history.
The following year, Müller and Bayern lined up again in the European Cup final. This time, Müller lifted the European Cup for the second season in succession.
after Bayern won the European Cup 3 times in a row. 74, 75 and 76. There is no question that it was the most successful time for Bayern on the international stage.
Die international ohne Frage bis auch heute die erfolgreichste war.
These seasons of European glory were undoubtedly the finest at Bayern. And for many of his 15 years at Munich, he was the most feared striker in the Bundesliga. But eventually, in 1979, time caught up with Der Bomber.
He had a bit of bad luck with a coach at Bayern Munich who suddenly didn't want him anymore. He was getting older and not dealing with it well, not keeping up. Football had changed.
Unwanted by Bayern, Muller took the decision to make a new life with his wife in the USA, where he joined the NASL team Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
For the first 5 matches, I didn't score at all. Then they said that the people wanted to see someone who could score. And when the 5th game came, at Edmonton, I scored 4 times. And then it started. Goal after goal.
Muller was not the only star at Fort Lauderdale. The NASL often proved to be a battle of egos.
It was the first training session, and at kick-off, George Best toe-poked the ball very hard at his knee, so that the ball flew 5 metres away. Gerd was really upset about it. So afterwards, I went over to George Best to do an interview. I said, "What happened? Are you jealous of Gerd Muller?" And you know what he said?
"Why should I be jealous about him? I'm a better player than he is."
It seemed to me that he feared me as the other star. He never passed the ball to me.
Best soon left the Strikers, which left Muller to help himself to the goals. Back home, though, many questioned why he'd ever moved to the States.
I
believe it would have been better if he had ended his career at Bayern Munich. But there were differences in opinion at the time. It was not a good time for sport when he left the club.
I don't think it was a good idea to go there. Muller was lost in America. He went with his wife and he couldn't speak English. He was all about scoring goals and playing football. And when the community wasn't surrounding him, I imagine that's where everything started to go wrong.
And here's a great chance for the Bomber. He scores!
Alienated from Bayern, the club he'd served for so long, Muller became disillusioned with the game. He took comfort in alcohol.
We met him at his toughest time. It was in the old Munich airport. And you did not need to be a great philosopher to know that he had big problems. Uli Hoeneß, Franz Beckenbauer and I discussed the subject briefly, and we decided to bring him into the office the next day.
When he came and admitted his problem and said he needed help, then we helped. We did everything that we could, from rehab to giving him the job of coaching the youth team, and then the amateur team. And now he has been a coach for 20 years. He is socially connected and secured by FC Bayern. And once again, he is a wonderful person.
So thanks to the help from a few old friends at Bayern, the great Gerd Muller will be remembered by all in his life for what he did best: scoring goals.
Nordlingen is very proud of Gerd Muller, and that was why we named our stadium after him.
The best description was from Franz Beckenbauer, who said that without Gerd Muller, there would never have been this Bayern Munich.
Without Gerd Muller, I wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't have the Bayern Munich we have today. Without Gerd Muller, Germany would never have become world or European champions.
It's a shame. Gerd Muller should be mentioned in the same breath as Maradona, Cruyff, Ronaldinho and Pelé. There's no one like Gerd Muller.